what I want to emphasize is when child loss occurs, we often refer to, or at least I do, and thousands of others who are bereaved parents, refer to child loss as the most difficult loss of all. And the reason being, it touches pretty much every avenue of emotion and every avenue of loss that we talked about here in some way. So we're going to move forward a little bit here and say we're going to talk about how grief affects the physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental. And grief is, by the way, very, very real. It's not made up. It's very painful. And what's the timetable while we're talking about this for grieving? How long should a person grieve?
3 days.
Okay, you all have that. Okay, you all have that. Society as a whole does not have that. Do you know, I think I will never get over this, ever. My son died on May 22nd. I was called into work to do payroll on May 23rd before leaving to go to Memphis for his funeral. And I will not, I cannot comprehend that yet in my mind. I cannot comprehend how people don't get it. They did not get it. So we have progressed some in the world of grief, but we have not gotten far enough. People don't get it, how deeply we grieve and how deeply it hurts from loss. And there is no timetable to follow. Grief is as individual as your fingerprint. No two people will grieve in the same way, and that's something else that we don't understand. Often people will look at somebody and say they're crazy. They're acting crazy. They're not handling this right. They're living in the past, or they're clinging to grief too long. And no, not necessarily. They're just grieving in their own way, and we need to allow people to have space to do that. Grief can touch us physically. We can have all kinds of physical symptoms. We can have nightmares. We can have insomnia. We can have headaches, backaches, leg aches. We can have sick stomachs. We can have, anybody ever have a panic attack and understand what that's like? Those are fun, not, right? Absolutely not. They'll send you flying to the hospital right away. Grief touches us in a very physical way. Mentally, it can change our thinking. We often feel extremely alone, and somebody mentioned previously about depression. Depression can come into that. We're unable to focus. I know I'm not focusing totally clearly at all yet. I have to stop and really think while I'm at work. And I'm not focused yet because my mind is still on the fact that I just lost his son. And that's what I'm thinking about all the time. So even driving down the roads, I think it's dangerous sometimes for grieving people to be driving because our minds aren't with it. We're just not focused enough, especially in the early days of grief.